Hello there, this is Swift, bringing you another game of Dawn of War 2 Elite. On the blue side here we have Swan, playing as the Hive Tyrant, versus a similarly tanky mean green orc machine, Princess Hex. Swan commenting on how weird Fendunlock, the map, looks not in 3v3, and they would be right, because it does look very different. If you remember what the 3v3 version of this map looks like, well, it's kind of a red sunset versus the nighttime rainy ambience which the 1v1 map has. And similarly, the 2v2 version of this map is also different. It's a misty morning, which is a very, very deliberate change. I say all of this, and you won't know this, but I have already said this just 15 minutes ago, because I am re-recording this cast. I don't want to be doing this cast like crazy in depth. This is a bit more of a slightly more yapping cast, you know. But I did also want to cover more of the game, and I ended up yammering on about some kind of very boring stuff, and then my stupid monitor went black, which I don't even know if it's picked up in the recording, but I'd rather not risk it. Do you see these sluggers just kind of getting away, which is very sloppy here from Swan, I think. They could definitely have threatened to take them out, but the fact that they didn't even try, just a bit of a shame, but you know, we all miss opportunities. And we have the Hive Tyrant versus the Ork Warboss, which should be a fairly similar matchup, both slow, tanky heroes, not crazy mobility. Tyranids obviously are a little bit faster on their feet, or hooves, or claws, or slithery tummies, whichever you prefer, you know. But the orcs are going to be somewhat slower until they sort of start snowballing with their wars and getting things like boss poles up and getting trucks out to deliver da boys straight into the fray. But to help with the speed, we're seeing some Raveners coming out here from Swan, who, being the Hive Tyrant, doesn't really have to worry about going for warriors necessarily, because the Hive Tyrant does the job that the warriors do by default. That synapse is an incredibly useful thing to have. I do believe that the sort of improved synapse upgrade for the Hive Tyrant is going to be moved and maybe reworked in the next patch. I forget exactly how, but I do believe it's changing what tier it's available in, and I think it's going to become an accessory rather than an armor. So we'll see how that goes for Hive Tyrants. I'm not really sure where the Tyranids and the Orcs sit in the current meta. I know that this matchup is definitely one of the more destructive matchups, because you have fairly squishy high damage factions who can build around big death blobs. So in a way, Tyranids and Orcs are very, very sort of similar flavors of faction. Do see a nice little cutoff here coming from these Raveners, just catching this Warboss off guard. And as we know, we saw the players commenting earlier on the map looking different, and it plays different too. You know, the 1v1 version, for example, has these two natural VPs that are actually quite sort of close together on this side, so you could feasibly hold it if you wanted to, and then it has this very, very distant contested one all the way over here. Also, there are similarly two natural powers and a contested power in the mid, so you're not really going to be starved for power on Fendunlock, and personally I'm not sure how good of an idea it was of mine to make the map like that, because as you can see, you can threaten the powers, but they're a little bit natural, both of them, so maybe it would have been a better idea for me to move things around. Fendunlock has definitely been one of those maps where I tried to do something with it and it actually sort of got away from me a bit. So for example, I made this map as a 2v2 map initially, and then made it a 1v1 map. And it was okay, you know, some people played it, but it's not particularly popular in either mode. And then I thought, you know what, screw it, let's make a 3v3 map. And the 3v3 map became way more successful than either of the original versions of this map. But not for the reasons that I wanted. It has become one of those maps that is synonymous with spam, synonymous with just big armies holding down the mid side of this area. You know, it's a very campy map. And with the addition of some walls by the garrisons here, it's a very peculiar map in 3v3. It's very small, very tight, promotes very, very long games, which I think aren't necessarily very healthy because of the way that they tend to just devolve into artillery fests. But, you know, what are you going to do? This is a map inspired by Company of Heroes 2, and that game is nothing if not notorious. We do see an interesting build here coming out from Princess Hex, who has gone quite power heavy in Tier 1, buying double sluggers and a Pain Boy, whilst getting upgrades on, I think, both of the slugger squads. So, you know, this is not an insignificant purchase here from Princess Hex, and Swan, using this opportunity to tech to Tier 2, have not had the lightest power Tier 1 themselves, but, you know, picking up a shooter squad in that engagement is kind of big for them. And Swan is Tier 2, but we see Princess Hex following behind shortly. Little capillary tower going up there just to sustain some map control, and the map is fairly blue here for Swan and is definitely going to change to be a bit more blue. This is a game I was not sent. I got this from the ESL reporter on the Elite site, so this may not be a game full of the best plays, but that's okay because you are not watching the best caster. You are watching some moron who likes to mouth off now and then. Not that I'm, you know, putting the players in the same category of person as me. That is not what I am trying to imply. These two would both absolutely roll me in 1v1 because it turns out I can make a map, but I can't play it. Looks like we're going to see these Termagants get picked up here by these sluggers. No, they do make it out with just one model. And the Raveners do go to try to counter-initiate. They slightly mistime their jump a little bit, but they do get in. But they are getting extremely low, and with user choppers coming down on them, they're going to have to get out of there or they will be wiped, because Ard Boys and user choppers is going to be basically impossible to shift. And now the rest of the Orc army follows up, and this can be very dangerous. Some pathing nightmare there for those Hormagaunts, but they will be okay. We see a preemptive Venom Brood as well coming out for Swan, which will help, given that they have a somewhat shooty army. But I think they were probably expecting to see a truck, and Princess Hex now knows that the Venom Brood is there, so is not going to be getting a truck. Spoiler alert, they're going to be getting some stick bombers, because I can read the future. This lazy Pain Boy not doing his job because he's absolutely useless. And the little ranged blob here of Swan moving up. And look at that, the stick bomber purchase is coming in. I'm psychic. You can hire my services. I charge £100 an hour for some very, very accurate, life-changing readings of your future. I promise it will be worth every penny. Hive Tyrant just slightly bullying the Warboss here is level 2, which puts them at a slightly higher advantage, but not too much. I'm not really sure what the Hive Tyrant Warboss matchup specifically is like, but they both strike me as kind of similar bruisers, really. Very disruptive, very tanky. Just can do a lot for their guys and themselves. The Pain Boy, though, really overexposed, is going to go down there. Just not a great spot to be in. The Hive Tyrant also kind of looking pretty low, and that Slugger Knob is going to be doing a number on them. Hormagaunts also pretty low. These Termagants being dogged on right now by some Sluggers. Massive Synapse Bomb comes in, which unfortunately looks like it's set up to wipe those Termagants, which is really unfortunate. But Princess Hex also dropping a Slugger Squad in that engagement, so not really ideal for either player, but hey, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And we see another Venom Brood being called out for Swan and replacing the Termagant Brood. I don't like this, I gotta say. I don't like this. Not one bit, because as we can see, Princess Hex going to tier 3 on 3 units with very little map control. Very curious choice already. But what is this blob going to do? Like, I don't know about this. They will roll over the Orc army currently, but all it's going to take is one Nob squad coming out from Hex, which is not inconceivable. It would take them about a minute currently to get enough power. A little bit longer to get the requisition required, but a Nob squad coming out would just completely shut down Swan right now. I mean, there would be nothing they could do. They've got 2 movement snares, but after they use that up, what's the Venom Brood going to do? You know? Nothing. If anything, they're just going to be targets for Synapse Bombs. Is a Power Bash coming down, which is a bit rare. I think this is probably one of the failures of Fend Unlock. The fact that there are 2 powers on either side, and both of them are quite natural, it's just not really the best thing for a map like this. It makes the power way too easy to defend, way too easy to rebuild, because it's very natural on either side and you can very easily get a bunch of generators down. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why this map is not as popular in 1v1. It's also kind of big for a 1v1 map because it is diagonal, which does increase the overall map footprint. Which is why I'm kind of interested in talking about maps, because Dawn of War 2 as a game is very much here to stay, I think. You know, it's 2026, it's 17 years since Dawn of War 2 came out, and Dawn of War 4 is around the corner. But I think if anything, we've kind of seen that Dawn of War 2 has not died. You know, it's been alive for such a long time, so has Elite. So many times it should have died, it has not. And I don't think Dawn of War 4 is going to kill it, even if Dawn of War 4 is popular. See Princess Hex complaining about the range blob, but they are immediately buying the ideal unit that we talked about, those being the knobs. I mean, you could very easily get some, you know, flash gits or commandos. I mean, Orc tier 3 is just kind of stacked with incredible options for dealing with this ranged blob right now. But yeah, I think one of the things I want to do is maybe release a video soon and run a bit of a poll. You know, I want some feedback on what people like about a map, because I don't know if I will ever create another map for this game. It's sort of something I stopped doing a number of years ago, and reason being is it takes a long time, and my time is kind of better spent doing other things, unfortunately. Making maps does not pay the bills, and it eats up a significant chunk of free time, so maybe I'll make something, but it would probably be finishing something that I have already started several years ago. But it would still be nice to know what people like theoretically in a map, because I think I have some ideas. You know, I think I know why Fend Unlock works in 3v3 but doesn't work in other modes so well. And it's because people just use it to spam artillery, and it's a bit of a miserable map in 3v3. I don't understand why people play it. But hey, like it because it's pretty. You know, I wanted Fend Unlock to be a pretty map, and I think it's pretty in a, you know, very gloomy way. But gloom is fine. I mean, look at these knobs. They're just able to tank this piercing damage like crazy. It's just... This ranged blob is just kind of a bit ineffective. Oh, this is... Oh! Okay, well, call me a noob. Because I did not know that Venom Broods now have an option to tech into Inferno damage. Which is actually kind of big, because I thought Venom Broods were still stuck with their Venom Cannons. But no, they can get Death Spitters for Inferno damage, and that is good. 26 DPS Inferno on 3 models is... I believe that's maybe slightly less damage than a Saint Marine unit. Of course, they do also plasma damage on their leader as well, and then they can buy the Eternal War upgrade. I think it's less damage, but I think it's pretty good, especially with the range sign-ups coming off. I don't know if they can benefit from the range sign-ups, but these boys just running into base, and I think Princess Hex's unit preservation in this game has really just not been good. Yeah, they're making some really, really odd choices going after the entire blob with one squad at a time. Swan saying oops because they lost a unit to the knobs, which, I mean, if we're going to talk about trading, well, definitely worth losing that squad to the knobs compared to the Slugger squad, which Hex just lost. Hex is getting another knob squad, and this game has been very, very bizarre. It's been a case of this blob just kind of isolating individual units. Ardboy's coming down on those Orc knobs, which, yeah, I mean, sure, but as we can see, they don't even get the cap. Hex is afraid of losing models, and somehow the map control is just managing to evade Swan currently. It's turning very red, and I do feel like Swan may be getting a little bit of tunnel vision here, allowing Hex to outmaneuver them with fewer units. We do see a second Knob squad coming in and a Carnifex to respond. So I'm intrigued to see which direction this Carnifex will be going, whether it be going for Barb Strangler or just straight into Thornback to utterly brutalize these knobs, because of course they are power melee now. They have to upgrade to heavy melee, which is something that I know Elite has made a change for more recently. More heavy melee squads start out as power melee and can then spec into heavy melee, which I think is an interesting way of keeping them versatile. Like, for example, Seer Council are power melee, but they now have an option to spec into heavy melee. And of course, knobs classically were heavy melee and now they're power melee, so, you know, vice versa. But yeah, this is a very odd case of Swan just sort of isolating all of Hex's units, which aren't bad by themselves. I mean, these knobs are clearly able to handle themselves, and they are easily capable of distracting a lot of Swan's attention. But yeah, this is going to be curious. We do see the Thornback upgrade coming out here for the Carnifex, which I think makes sense. It's going to force a heavy melee spec from Hex if Hex wants to deal with them, and it's going to just give them that frontline pressure that their blob currently lacks. You see these Raveners quite caught out of position, and the pathing is really screwing them up. I actually don't know what the problem is here. It's very unusual that the pathing is, well, would be acting like this. And I think Swan is actually feeling the pressure a little bit right now, because they do have the VPs in their favor, but as we can see, Hex just able to assert some map dominance in a way that they just shouldn't be able to with so few units around. And yeah, Swan's blob is useful, but they're just being outmaneuvered, really lacking some speed. These Raveners are a nice side-capping unit, but they may end up being brought into the main blob to deal with these looters, which will obviously be going for a beamy def gun to deal with that Carnifex. I say obviously. I mean, I can definitely see some utility in having some suppression right now, but do somewhat feel like maybe they want to be dealing with the Carnifex. But, you know, I could be wrong. We do see some heavy melee coming out here from the knobs. These ones are also going for their bang bang hammers, so it looks like actually the suppression will be the choice, and I can actually see Hex coming back in this game now, where early on it looked kind of like a bit of a shoo-in that they were going to lose the game, but Swan just seems to be sort of outmaneuvered here by the Ork tier 3. Carnifex is doing some very, very nice work on the Nob squad. Their bang bang hammers are buffing them up like crazy, but also, are they even taking damage from this Carnifex? This is super weird. The Carnifex is doing basically no damage to them. Oh, and it turns around. It could have got a model off the Nobs there, which is unfortunate. Nobs and Warboss going after this Hive Tyrant, who really just has no business being in there. All that the Hive Tyrant's doing is feeding the Nobs stacks of their bang bang hammer. Really should have got out there earlier. I don't know why the Hive Tyrant stayed in there for so long. But it's okay. You know, we all make mistakes. And these Termagants kind of just... what are they doing? I mean, they managed to get that power node by themselves. Princess Hex really, really hurting for power currently. There have been some really weird pathing issues, actually. This is kind of alarming. I've never seen so many pathing issues on Fend Unlock before. I don't know that it's a map specific thing, but quite a few times in this game I've seen units just kind of stalled when they try to retreat, which is obviously not what you want. Ripper Squad is spawned here to deal with these Nobs, but we do see the beamy def gun being upgraded here, and this Carnifex is gonna go down. There's absolutely no way it's getting out of this fight, and this could be Swan throwing the game right now. Just left hyper exposed there with the Carnifex, pushing up way too far, and these warriors, they do lose the important Venom Brood. Oh dear. Yes, these Nobs just able to survive on slivers of HP because those buffs are crazy. Level 3 on this squad. Only level 1 on this one, but they are basically carrying everything for Hex, and Swan kind of has all the power in the world, but nothing really to do with it. This Beamy Looter upgrade was absolutely massive there for Hex in securing the kill on the Carnifex, and kind of feel like Swan's blob has just fallen apart here in the face of these Ork Nobs. Which is a real shame to see, because I feel like Swan should really be winning this game. And the fact that it has gone more into the favour of Princess Hex as the game has gone on is just, yeah, kind of an indication that these Orcs have been able to just run around doing some stuff. I'm sure Torpid, if he was casting this game, would have all sorts of ideas about how Tyranids should deal with Nobs. I don't know, like a Barb Strangler brood maybe could be pretty useful at this point to shut them down. I'm very unwilling to offer advice because, quite frankly, I mean, I don't play Tyranids. I would not know what to do, especially not versus Orcs who have extremely good staying power in tier 3. Swan obviously a bit upset about the two Nob squads because they have effectively crippled their entire build, which we could sort of see coming off sort of a mile away, but yeah. I don't remember if Meaner and Greener does anything to do with suppression. I don't think Meaner and Greener gives any suppression resistance. So I do feel like some Barb Strangler Warrior Brood maybe could have done well. Maybe if Swan could have preserved the first Carnifex, get a second one with Stranglethorn Cannon, and I think that could have won the game. But it looks like both players are now going to be just sort of tunnel visioning into getting those VPs. And as we can see, one of the blessings of this map is these two VPs are very close together. So if you can turtle on the northwest side, then you can potentially stall out a victory. But, and it's a big but, you got to be able to turtle. And right now, Swan is not really in a position to out-tank all of the obscene amounts of damage. I mean, this Carnivate is just standing in the line of fire of the Beamy. It may be that Swan can't see the Beamy through the fog of war. That can happen in this game. It is a bit awkward. But they have no business keep... Huh? Swan does call GG, and I'm very, very confused at the end. That was a very peculiar Tyrant formation, but I don't think it was going to save Swan's chances in the slightest. Princess Hex just able to outmaneuver the Tyranids, out-tank them, and outscale them in the end. We see Fen Dunlock, which is a pretty rare 1v1 map, just playing host to some classic Ork versus Tyranid carnage, and I think just a lesson there in pushing your advantage at the right time, not overextending when you don't need to, and just reading the room a little bit. This is not a judgment of either player, but I think both made mistakes, though had it been me in the driving seat, you can guarantee that there would be plenty more mistakes where that came from. Still, a very interesting game on a slightly underplayed and maybe undercooked map for 1v1, but otherwise, that is the game.